Folktales, a tale from Tamil Nadu. A clever daughter-in-law. A wealthy merchant of Ramananthapuram had named his son Bhagyanathan in the hope that the boy would one day inherit all his wealth. But he turned out to be stupid. The boy always went out to play with his friends, who, as he grew up, would only flatter him to his face and laugh at him and call him a fool behind his back. The merchant was naturally sad. There's no use hoping that Bhagya would become something by the time we are old, he told his wife one day. But then you never took pains to get him interested in business, she encountered. When they sat for dinner, the merchant told him, rather sternly, "Look here, Bhagya, from tomorrow you'll go with me to the shop. It's time you learnt business, so that you can take over from me when the time comes." The next day, Bhagya accompanied his father to the shop, where he spent most of the time chatting with the employees or the customers. The next day was a crowded day at the shop, and the father did not see his son accosting someone on the road and going with him. Bhagya returned after some time. On the third day, the boy went out but never came back. A few days later, Bhagya's mother came with a proposition. We'll get him married, and then we'll see more of him at home, and he'll become responsible too. The merchant was surprised, but he thought he would accept it. "But let's give him one more chance while you search for a bride," he said. "Give him 3 rupees tomorrow. Let him eat something for 1 rupee, throw 1 rupee into the river, and for the 3rd rupee, let him buy something to eat, something to drink, something to plant and grow, and something for the cow to eat." Bhagya was surprised when his mother gave him 3 rupees and told him what he should do with the coins. He straightaway went to the market and bought a rupee worth of pakodas and ate them. As he munched them, he made his way to the riverside. On reaching there, he took out one of the 2 coins left in his pocket and aimed it at the river. Suddenly, he withdrew his arm. Wasn't it foolish to throw a coin into a flowing river? He thought. But then he would be going against the directions of his mother. He went and sat on a rock where he could have a good view of the river and pondered. Suddenly he realized that someone was standing by his side. It was Bhagirathi, daughter of the local temple priest. She noticed that something was worrying him. "I hope you're not contemplating to jump into the river," she said anxiously and half jokingly. Now Bhagya knew her as his friend Hari's sister. "No, Bhagirathi, I was wondering whether I should throw this coin into the river or not." "You're not serious, are you, Bhagya?" she said through a smile. Bhagyanathan then told her the whole story. The girl listened to him intently and laughed. "Don't throw the coin. What your mother really intended was you should not spend the rupee for yourself. Take it back to her." "And now, shall I buy 5 items with 1 rupee?" asked Bhagya with a quizzical look. Now Bhagirathi laughed aloud. "Bhagya, you're really stupid. What your mother wanted was a watermelon. It has something to eat, drink, plant, grow, and some food for your cow." "I never realized that, Bhagirathi," said Bhagya as he got up from the rock. "Come on, I'll choose for you a nice juicy watermelon," said the girl. Later, when he handed the watermelon to his mother, she ran to her husband. "See that! Our Bhagya is not stupid. He has become clever." "Call him here," demanded the merchant. He asked him, "I'm sure you wouldn't have thought about the watermelon. Someone else must have advised you. Who was it?" Bhagya thought he must be honest with him. It was Hari's sister, Bhagirathi. "Oh, our priest's daughter. She's really intelligent. And what more did she advise you?" questioned the merchant. "Not to throw the coin into the river," answered Bhagya. "Here it is." He took it out of his pocket and gave it to his father. After Bhagya had left the room, the merchant turned to his wife. "We have found the bride for Bhagya." "You mean the priest's daughter?" said the woman, as if she wanted confirmation. "Who else?" said the merchant. "She is quite clever and intelligent. She will look after our Bhagya." Both Bhagya's mother and father met the priest and his wife, who formally accepted the proposal. A day after his marriage, Bhagya was reluctant to leave home for the shop. But Bhagirathi insisted on his accompanying his father. At the shop, the merchant found him restless. For once, he became indulgent and told his son he could go home if he so wished. A week later, as was the custom, Bhagya took his wife to her parents for a short stay. The next day, he spent the whole day in the shop, and his father was very happy. He decided that Bhagya should be given an opportunity to show his mettle. While in the shop the next day, the merchant suggested that Bhagya should go to the neighboring town and choose some merchandise for sale in the village. He told him he would give him money and send a servant along with him. He also told Bhagya that he could stay overnight in the town and return only the following day. Accordingly, Bhagya and the servant started the next day in a horse-drawn cart. They reached the town late in the afternoon and sent back the cart. The two went round the market and bargained for some items. After promising to pay for them the next day, they went in search of a lodging place. They found one whose owner was a young lady. As she served food to Bhagya and the servant, she mentioned of an opportunity to gamble. After all, being an up-and-coming merchant, Bhagya might wish to come by some extra money. The game began under a faint light. She allowed Bhagya to win the first two games, and that made Bhagya overconfident of himself. He conceded the next game to the lady. He thought he was about to win the fourth game when the lady's pet cat toppled the lamp and she took time to lit it again. Fortune seemed to have changed course, and the lady won. In the midst of fluctuating fortunes, the cat toppled the lamp again and again, and every time the lamp went out, the game went in favor of the lady. Bhagya was oblivious of the fact that the cat had been trained to perform his act on a signal from the lady. Bhagya played till he lost everything. The next morning, the lady insisted that the servant went back to the village to fetch enough money to pay up all her dues. She asked Bhagya to help her in the garden and the kitchen till the servant returned with money. Bhagya's parents were worried when there was no sign of him for 2 days. The servant reached the village on the third day, haggard and hungry. Meanwhile, Bhagirathi, who was waiting for Bhagya to bring her back, started on her own and reached Bhagya's house. She too listened to the servant's narration of what happened in the lodge and offered to go with him to bring back Bhagya. The girl disguised herself in a man's dress. On reaching the town, the servant took her to the lodging house. Bhagirathi asked him to remain in the cart a little away from the place. As Bhagya had described to the servant how he had been cheated by the lady and her pet, Bhagirathi had taken with her a mouse. She hid the room and made it known that she was interested in gambling. The landlady was overjoyed at the prospect of making money on the sly. The game began and the visitor, Bhagirathi in disguise, appeared too clever for the landlady. But Bhagirathi was watching, and the moment the lady gave the signal to the cat, she released the mouse from the folds of her dress. The cat went after the mouse, and the woman lost. As the cat was not there to help her, the woman lost the games that followed, and Bhagirathi soon managed to collect a neat little pile of coins. Whatever Bhagyanathan had lost was thus retrieved. The next morning, Bhagirathi excused herself and went over to the cart and handed the money to the servant and asked him to go and pay up the landlady and get Bhagya freed. The landlady readily accepted the money from the servant and decided to wait for the visitor to come back to get even with him. Bhagya was surprised to see his wife in the cart. The servant told him how they had planned his release. They all now went round the market, bought the items Bhagya had chosen a few days earlier, and started back for their village. On seeing them, the merchant and his wife were immensely happy. He had only one comment to make after Bhagirathi recounted everything. Bhagya will never change, but our wealth will be safe in the hands of our daughter-in-law.
Dhanyavad. Thank you. If you like this video, do like, subscribe and share. See you in the next one. Bye bye.